play a little bit more, a couple more pieces of this with Alex Jones because we haven't heard a lot from Obama. And we brought it to you in the beginning. There was the Organizing for Action. There was the OFA. I told you it's happening in our newspapers. Obama is working heavily in the deep state to take down Trump.
Right.
Okay? And so we're just going to do this video, and then we'll sign off here.
Still wondering, though, they're scratching their heads why so many Obama-era staffers are still here. For example, was it a mistake not to ask Jim Comey to step down from the FBI at the outset of your presidency? Is it too late now to ask him to step down?
No, it's not too late, but, I have confidence in him. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, but, we have to just, look, I have so many people that want to come into this administration. They're so excited about this administration and what's happening. Bankers, law enforcement people, everybody wants to come into this administration. Don't forget, when Jim Comey came out, he saved Hillary Clinton. People don't realize that. He saved her life because I call it Comey 1. And I joke about it a little bit. When he was reading those charges, she was guilty on every charge. And then he said she was essentially okay.
Well, that's why I'm asking, why is he
I'm just saying, well, because I want to give everybody a good, fair chance. Director Comey was very, very good to Hillary Clinton, that I can tell you.
All right.
If he weren't, she would be right now going to trial.
Wait, we're not done.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Final comments on that, then I'm going to play this aside clip and go to calls. But again, what else? I mean, I know you've got a lot of news. You're working on a lot of breaking stuff. What else is
we like Hagman and Hagman.
Well, with respect to that, I just want to mention that the FBI, they generate the final investigative work product. The prosecution, of course, is up to the Department of Justice. And I think that the reason that, and what I'm getting is the reason that Comey is still there is because he is critical and possesses, along with McCabe, unfortunately, and others, the investigative work product that will be used by Jeff Sessions to in the prosecution, if there will be one, and I do hope there will be. That's at least as a
Do you have any word from your sources that have proven to be very accurate, or I guess it's being held close to the vest? Having the president sounds like, say that's like a declaration of war.
Well, I think everything involved with respect to that, there's a timing issue. What can the American people, what will the American people stomach? And there are people looking at this. Going after Hillary today may not be the most, although correctly, it may not be the most, shall we say, the smartest thing to do, given the fact that, well, that could be used as against President Trump. And saying, well, he's just doing this to divert attention away from the real issues. Don't forget, Donald Trump's got a full plate right now with respect to Syria, Al Qaeda, or ISIS, and
North Korea. And he's trying to get Supreme Court people in. So I understand it's almost like she's an afterthought. She's out of power, but she's not. Her surrogates, George Soros, they're in full war mode, trying to get Trump out of office or dead. So, and plus, it's justice. It's what he said he'd do, and we know Hillary's red-handed. Caught with all this corruption. We need to send some people to prison.
Yes.
Absolutely. And if I could just say one thing, and this I've not really broken anywhere. I've talked about a little bit of this, a little bit on my show, but I'll break it right here on InfoWars. The information, or what we have done through the Northeast Intelligence Network. We used to monitor, of course, all of the Islamic message boards. What we've done since the election, and I've mentioned this briefly before, but we have now a group of volunteer investigators, licensed, accredited, that have infiltrated some of the street-level groups as operatives and assets, much like James O'Keefe in terms of his level of infiltration, and much like the Center for Medical Progress with respect to Planned Parenthood, various organizations to find out what they're up to. And they're getting a lot of their marching orders from the Obama and Clinton camps. Now, Obama and Clinton have been very quiet since of course, the transition of power. However,
because they're being sneaky and hiding stuff.
That, and that's because they're working very diligently behind the scenes, and they want this.
Sure, and they admit they are. I'm going to go ahead and go to some calls now. Then I'll get your take on Assad and play the clip where Assad's come out and says that Hillary attack 100%.
It's just Hillary and Obama have just decided, you know what, we worked so hard. We're just going to take some time off. That is not what they're doing. That is not why no one is hearing from them. Okay, we've seen Hillary out a little bit, but
I can tell you that is the most. We've covered a lot of stories. That's the most important story of the night. It's the most important story that's going to continue to go on. Obama and and Clinton and all of them, the deep state inside of the CIA, they have been working, you guys, for years to set things up. Trump was not supposed to get an office. They had a plan, 7 countries in 5 years. George Bush was part of the New World Order. He was part of the plan. He was pushed in. Why do you think he was just happy-go-lucky and so stupid? You know, he like had no brain. He was like the Tin Man, you know, if I only had a brain. Right?
All right, so I want to break this down for you guys so that you can understand where Resistance Chicks stands. I know that you guys are not going to agree with us on everything, okay? But here is the fact. Because I've been watching the live chat and I hear it all the time. The whole Zionist movement. I hear all these sides, right?
Actually, I can mention something like that. I follow a Jewish person in Russia, and he says, "Listen, I'm for the Zionists of the heart, and the homeland being Israel. But he even said, there is a Zionist movement that wants to take over the whole Middle East." He says, "I am not part of that. I don't believe in that." And so just know that there are Jews who don't believe in the Zionism that you're talking about. That there are evil Jewish Zionist people there. And here's the thing. The whole Zionist movement is so much different than regular Jewish people. And that's why we have to be able to differentiate between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. These are not the same.
Okay, so that I'm glad you did all that, but that's not at all where I was going.
Oh, okay.
No, it's fine. It doesn't. Okay, so we have Obama and we have Hillary, and let's call them this mafia over here. Okay, they're the Italian mafia. Okay, then you have the neocons. Okay, over here, and they're like the Swedish
Republican rhinos.
Yeah, they're like the Swedish mafia, and then you have the globalists that are kind of a separate entity, and they filter down to the Italian mafia and to the Swedish mafia, and so they have agendas in both, and they also have their claws in Islam. They have their claws in the evil Jewish Zionist movement.
In Catholicism.
They have their arms in the Jesuit movement, and the fact that the Pope is probably New World Order, globalist, okay?
Definitely.
But not all Catholics are, right? So the globalists have all of their tentacles into all of these rival gangs. And so what you guys do, and my heart goes out to you because you get a truth. And it is a real truth. And you're like, it's all the Italian mafia, or it's all the Swedish mafia. And you fail to see that it's all the globalists, okay? And so what is happening right now is you still have this rival gang here that's trying to accomplish what they want to accomplish, still getting some of their barking orders from the globalists up top who have all the money in the world, and they just view this as a game where they can control their pawns and their pieces and everything like that. And so you have Obama and you have Hillary over here, and then you have Trump over here who was an independent, right? Not bought off by really any of them, but kind of aware of everybody. And he's kind of gotten into the neocon camp. Okay, but he also has globalists, Jared Kushner, in his camp. And so you've got George Soros in there, and you've got all this stuff. You do have the Zionistic movement. And all of these rival gangs that hate each other have come and surrounded Trump. And so he's getting a million different views, but there's a common denominator in them all, and that is the globalists, okay? And so we have to point at the actual top dog enemy, and that is the globalism. And you know what they want? They want this fighting amongst you guys who are real thinkers, because it takes the vision and the blame off of them. They want you pitting yourself against the Zionists or against the neocons, or against, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, okay? Yes, they all have agendas. Yes, they're all doing bad things, but they're all funded and they're all pawn pieces by the big bankers, the Ford, the Carnegie, the Rockefellers, all right? You name them. So that is the real fight, and I'm sorry I'm not reading any of your comments. That is the real enemy that we are fighting, and that's what we have to wake up to, and that's why a lot of you guys are so like, oh my gosh, I'm still in love with Trump. Make America great again. We are still with you. We want Trump to wake up. But he has got to wake up to the fact that he has accidentally, inadvertently, I don't know, of his own accord, whatever, surrounded himself by all of these top leaders from all of these evil rival gangs, and he's gotten rid of anybody that is left besides Bannon, okay, in there that has a sound
Jeff
mind.
Sessions is still there.
Jeff Sessions is still there, but it's not that many, and that's why you guys have to speak out. And it's fine for you to talk about your individual epiphanies that you have. Okay, the EU, I didn't talk about them at all. They're totally in there, in all that stuff. You know, NATO, the United Nations, they all belong there too. They all are puppets.
Council of Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group.
Exactly. But there's all of these little groups, and they're all trying to shoot their arrows that are attached to like a string into Trump. And he's not immune to those arrows, you guys. He does not have a bulletproof vest. So it's our job as the American people to go in there and help him pull those arrows out. And so if you see resistance chicks call out Trump in an area where he is wrong, it's because some arrow that has been poisoned has been shot to him, and we have to pull it out. Does that mean we're pulling out of all the things that Trump said and supporting the things that he said and that he stood for? No. But we have got to not follow blindly, but to wake him up to what is happening around him and rant.
No, and she summed it all up, because I read the comments. Some of you had said, resistance chicks, we made fun of the chocolate cake thing, right? You have to believe that we have to bring the funny. If Donald Trump says, I ate chocolate cake, it was great with the Chinese guy, and then I set off some missiles, you have to admit that that's hilarious, and we are going to break a joke about it.
Right.
Okay? At the same time, I read some people say, you're breaking my heart, you're hurting me. I'm not hurting you. Okay? The truth hurts badly. And all of us, and so that's where I've kind of like, and Alex Jones and Laura Ingraham and Ann Coulter and all of these really, while Michelle and I, as we said before, we didn't actually vote for Trump, we have been the strongest Trump supporters that I know.
Yes, that's very true.
We
didn't even vote for him.
I do not know personally, like a personal person that I know that supports Trump more than me.
And we didn't vote for him.
I'm not even kidding you. I have been on Facebook. I have been on YouTube. I have been on Twitter. I have renounced everything, neocon, Hillary Clinton, and I know almost everybody I talk to says, well, it came down to the Supreme Court. They didn't listen to Trump. I listened to Trump. I heard him when he talked about school choice and bringing the choice of schools back to local governments.
Right.
I heard him when he said, we're going to give states rights. I heard him when he said, hey, we're going to investigate vaccines.
Right.
I heard him when he said, we're going to bring jobs back to America, and then I added my own to it. Farming here, right? Farming rights, because that's where our big heart is. But we have to first bring jobs back. We shouldn't have jobs in India. We shouldn't have jobs in Mexico. We shouldn't have jobs. And Trump's been saying that. And I'm like, dude, he is saying the right thing over and over and over and over again. And so a lot of people, you have to recognize that they're kind of hit in the gut, right? When it looks like everybody's backing and supporting him, and this is what he's going to do. And then all of a sudden, what do you mean we're being friends with China? I thought we were bringing jobs back from China. Okay, right? Go ahead, Picture Gallery.
This can be very confusing.
Right.
But we have to realize that in the American Revolution, people united in the Holy Spirit of God.
Yes.
And so what we have now is we have people united in the unholy spirit of the devil.
Exactly.
Whether it's elites, whether you want to call them Zionists, it's people who want to enslave the other people.
Right.
People who like to lord over other people. People who like to abuse children, who like to rape women. People who love violence.
Right.
And like that one guy, one of them, you're like, why is he videotaping this? When a criminal does a crime, the most happiest thing about committing a crime is to be able to tell other people you did it.
Right, to boast on it.
If a criminal can't tell somebody, it's like in them, they just got to tell somebody.
Right.
And so that's why they have to videotape it. But God is moving on the earth.
Yes, he is.
And so we don't see Donald Trump. We see him as a person, but we also see you, the viewer, equal to Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Your life is just as important.
Valuable and powerful.
Every baby who's being aborted, their lives are important. A life is important. Right. But we don't think Donald Trump is a God who can change the world.
He's not.
He is a man used by God right now, and God is using him. But if Donald Trump wasn't there, it would be somebody else.
Exactly. And that's really important. If it wasn't Donald Trump, it would have been somebody else.
And that's what we're here about, Resistance Chicks. We're about you, the people. And one of the things I said, I felt the Spirit of God, and we are going to get a little Christian on you for a second.
Well, it's Easter. It's Passover.
Amen.
Right.
So we're going to get a little Christian on you. Follow me, atheist, for a second, because this is how my Christian mind works. I looked at the situation, and I had goosebumps all over me, you guys. I seriously, when I saw the people rising up and it's the Trump people, I have goosebumps on the top of my head, about my feet. The power of the people to turn this country back around. Everybody's been saying, our country's so bad, our country's so bad. When is it going to change? When is it going to change? When is it going to change? And the people have slowly been waking up, right? I believe that Donald Trump being elected was the seed sown for the rebirth of our country the way our founding fathers envisioned it.
Right.
2.0, minus slavery and minus,
which most of our founding fathers wanted that written in the Declaration of Independence.
We could do a whole section. I want to do a whole segment on Thomas Jefferson one day for you guys to know how awesome he is. He actually wrote in the first draft declaration to abolish slavery.
Right.
That's another story. But here's the thing. You guys are Trump. Trump is the embodiment of the people.
Yeah.
He spoke what you were saying in your spirit, on your knees before God, when you're with your family, when you're with your kids, when men are like, why can't I be a man? And women are like, why can't I stay at home and take care of my kids? So what's funny, Mom printed this out. This is the Constitution of Ohio. And we need to get back to
smart people.
Rights. All men are, by nature, free and independent and have certain inalienable rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life, liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and seeking and obtaining happiness and safety. All political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their equal protection and benefit, and they have the right to alter,
reform, or abolish the same whenever they may deem it necessary, and no special privileges of immunities shall ever be granted that may not be altered, revoked, or repealed by the General Assembly.
This is just...
people have all the power.
We have the rights. We have the right to worship. We have the right to... We have rights. This is the people's rights, okay? So, you are the people. Speak. You have control of your government now.
Yes.
I'm serious. Twitter is like the government controlling arm right now. Donald Trump tweets, you tweet. Tweet back and forth. For the first time in our entire lives, the first time in my mom's life, your voice matters. I am not kidding you. Your voice matters. It matters more than it ever has been. And you can finally tell your government what to do. And what I would encourage you to do is to get on your knees and ask God what He would have you say to your representatives, what He would have you voice. Okay? So that we can have peace, love, prosperity, equal rights. All of these are Christian principles, right, guys? We are we were based on Protestant values, Protestant work ethics, okay? And these values valued people across the board.
Right.
And you are important. That's what I want you to get across. Your government, you guys, I truly believe when Donald Trump was elected, he literally handed, and God handed over the government back to you.
Yes.
You're the people. We're the people now. Okay? And this is what the ideals of communism are like, the people rule, but it's in a weird, godless, totalitarian way. You have to be a religious kind of moral people in order to have self-government. Otherwise, you'll lie, you'll cheat, you'll steal from each other. All right? So then you have to have more laws because people aren't treating people right.
Right.
Okay? So you want to be a moral people. You want everybody to be moral so that you don't have to have any laws. Or very little laws.
We have an article on Resistant Chicks on Facebook about how not to talk about Easter right now or Passover is to neglect billions of people and what they're doing right now.
Right.
Billions of people are celebrating Easter, celebrating Passover.
Right.
And it's a part of government. It's a part of our government. Passover is a part of our government. Easter is a part. Jesus is a part of our government. It's woven into our Declaration of Independence and Constitution.
Yes.
The government we have right now is a business.
Right.
It is not a constitutional government. It's totally illegitimate.
Right.
But God is waking people up. And the more you come to the truth, the closer you are to God. And the whole world is getting back to God and back to Christianity, because when Jesus died on the cross, God reconciled the world back to Himself.
Right.
And there are evil people who are trying to say, no, the world hasn't been reconciled unto God. But if you look at history, Martin Luther is coming up. This is 500 years of Martin Luther. It tells you the whole world has been reconciled unto God. Right. The whole world has been Christianized, whether you're in Russia, you go, there's churches everywhere. You go to the Middle East, there are churches everywhere. Even the Middle East has been Christianized,
Yeah.
even though this Muhammad came in and started putting people into his occult,
Yeah.
dominating people. But still, the whole world, Europe, South America, wherever you look, the world has been Christianized because God has reconciled the world unto himself. And so this Passover means we are free from slavery. If you look at Passover, it's about God setting the Hebrews free from slavery. And Jesus is the Lamb who was slain. And so Jesus was slain on the cross to set us all free from slavery to this satanic occult that's trying to...
I was cold all alone, no place for home, every day so afraid, but you called my